Hello everyone, my name is Eva. म चाहिँ GDG को टिम मेम्बर हैन अनि GDG प्रेजेन्ट्स GDG के भइराछ अनि सबैले GDG भने के भनेर चाहिँ थाहा पाउन खोजिरहनु भएको छ होला। यहाँ स्क्रिनमा पनि यो GDG देखिरहनु भएको छ है, अभ्यस्त भनेर। सो यो चाहिँ हाम्रो अभ्यस्त सिरिज भयो। अनि GDG भनेको चाहिँ के भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ मेरो यता अलिकति टेक्निकल भयो है। म GDG चाहिँ के भनेर भन्छु भने एक्सप्लेन गर्दाखेरि GDG Kathmandu is an all-inclusive group of developers and tech enthusiasts building an environment where everyone and anyone interested in tech can join and support each other है। के अब ठुल्ठुलो साउन्ड गर्यो तर सबैजना टेकमा इन्ट्रेस्टेड को हुनुहुन्छ डेभलपर्सहरू चाहिँ सबैजना हामी भेटेर गफ गरेर के हुनसक्छ टपिकहरूमा त्यसमा डिस्कसहरू पनि गर्छौँ हैन। अनि प्राइमेरीली हामी काठमाडौँमा बेस्ड छौँ अनि तर काठमाडौँ र पोखरामा चाहिँ साइमल्टेनियसली या कहिलेकाहीँ छुट्टै चाहिँ हामी प्रोग्राम्सहरू रन गर्छौँ। फर्दर हामीलाई चाहिँ हाम्रो बारेमा थाहा पाउन मन छ भने चाहिँ तपाईँले हामीलाई इन्स्टाग्राम, ट्विटर, फेसबुकमा फलो गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ। अनि हाम्रो इभेन्ट्सहरू पनि सबै त्यहीँ पोस्टेड हुन्छ, लिङ्क्सहरू पनि त्यही हुन्छ इभेन्ट्सहरूको। सो सबै त्यहाँबाट थाहा पाउने चाहिँ मौका हुन्छ सबैलाई। सो त्यो हो GDG को बारेमा। अनि सबैलाई आज धेरैजनाले त साइन अप गेस्ट हेरेर नै गर्नु भएको छ, थाहा छँदैछ है। आज हामीसँग सुशील श्रेष्ठजी हुनुहुन्छ। उहाँ चाहिँ असिस्टेन्ट प्रोफेसर इन डिपार्टमेन्ट अफ कम्प्युटर साइन्स एन्ड इन्जिनियरिङ एट काठमाडौँ युनिभर्सिटी। And his research areas include online learning and cognitive science, data mining, artificial intelligence, and human-computer interaction. And he's a lead researcher in digital learning research lab है। सो त्यो चाहिँ आज हाम्रो स्पिकरको बारेमा हो। अनि लास्टमा फेरि हामी Q&A नै हुन्छ, त्यति बेला पनि अरू केही तपाईँहरूलाई क्वेसन्स छ भने चाहिँ लास्टको लागि चाहिँ राख्दिन होला। सो ह्यान्डिङ ओभर द speaking platform to Sushil ji.
Thank you, Eva. मेरो साउन्ड सुनिरहेछ? हेलो,
सुनिरहेछ सर।
ओके, थ्याङ्क यू। मैले स्लाइड शेयर गर्छु है। स्क्रिन आयो?
आइरहेको छ सर।
ओके, हिजो अलि एकदम गर्मी छ कि यहाँ एकदम है। हिजो चिसो पानी खायो, घाँटी अलिकति बसिरहेछ, बट स्टिल आई ट्राई टु स्पिक एज क्लियरली एज पोसिबल। Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sushil Shrestha. I work in Kathmandu University as a faculty and as well as I'm a part-time student, also doing PhD. Today, in today's talk, I'm going to talk about discovery of pedagogy. Your topic चाहिँ मैले अलिक किन सेलेक्ट गरेको आजको टकको लागि भन्दाखेरि since we all know that due to this pandemic we are moving towards the field of digital education because we don't have any other option right now. So everybody is talking about online learning and how to teach through online learning. So यसमा पनि अब धेरै कुराहरू छ। अब अहिले हामीले basically we are using Zoom and Google Meet, but it is not a complete package of online learning. It's only a small part. So I'll be talking about what are the things you need to focus in today's teaching, especially in higher education, and what are the things you need to consider if you are implementing the concept of digital pedagogy. So I'm an assistant professor and as well as a lead researcher in digital learning research lab. And I saw Mano sir also. I think he's joined from Singapore. It's very nice to see him also because we work together to develop the MOOC project in Nepal. Actually, it was his idea to bring that concept in Nepal. I only assisted him in the research project, and we established a research lab called Digital Learning Research Lab. And now he's in Singapore, so I'm looking after the research lab at the moment. And besides that, I'm also doing PhD, and the field of my PhD is educational data mining and learning analytics, where we gather different kinds of educational data and then do some kind of analysis to develop different kinds of models that will help to assist the instructor in the teaching learning process. So this is my short background. So to start the presentation since we are talking about pedagogy in today's session. So first of all, we need to understand what is pedagogy. So in simple terms, the pedagogy can be called as a teaching method or the instruction method or the coaching method or the training method. So these can be the different synonyms of pedagogy. That is what kinds of style you follow to teach or to deliver your lectures. And in this picture, so these are the different components associated with digital learning, because I mentioned before also, I'll be more focusing on digital learning because it is the burning issue in Nepal at the moment, not only in Nepal, around the world. So these are the different components that are associated with the concept of digital learning. So to start with the digital pedagogy concept, basically we have heard about three things, like the face-to-face learning. Face-to-face learning is a traditional approach which we have been following in our school days and even in the university also. But now of online learning is getting popular because due to many advantages, like you don't need to physically attend in the university or in the classroom, and it will be easy for you to access the content in your convenient time. So that what we call is MOOC system. It's a massive open online course where the components are basically the asynchronous one. We follow the asynchronous method where the different materials are kept in some system, and then student can access that system in a given time and whenever they like. So, and all the evaluation are done through that system, that is MOOC. And online learning basically is teaching through online using different mediums. Like now we know that there has been different mediums used like Zoom and Google Meet. So these are the different tools used for online learning. But basically online learning is divided into two parts. One is synchronous and the next is asynchronous. So what we are doing now is the synchronous learning, because we all are live and you all are listening my lecture. Asynchronous means what I'll be doing is I'll be uploading some related contents regarding my lecture in some system, and then the students can access that content in their preferred time. So that is asynchronous. So basically online learning is the combination of both. And talking about hybrid learning, it is getting very popular because to implement MOOC is a big challenge, because there you will have a very less or minimum interaction with the teachers, but we are not used to it in this platform. So the concept of blended learning is getting popular, where you get to meet the instructor, and then you can learn in the classroom, and then the teachers uploaded the related materials in some places or systems, and then you can assess that. So it's more kind of hybrid learning, and it is also called blended learning approach, where you teach in the class and you upload the materials in some system. So that is blended or the hybrid learning approach. So when we talk about digital teaching learning method, then we always explore about the open educational resources available in the internet, and it's also called open education. We try to gather different developed by somebody else. There are many advantages of it. The first is like we can have a very good content developed by the very related expert of that field, and it saves our time also. We don't need to collect all the materials and develop a slide from the scratch. So there are many advantages of open education. Nepal has recently established a Nepal Open University, where they follow the blended learning approach. They invite students once a week or twice in a week. And then they interact for some time, and they upload all the materials in the Moodle system. That is one personal learning environment, and the student can learn from their home. So our Nepal Open University has been implementing the blended learning approach. So this figure shows the different steps or the methods you deal with regard to the pedagogy. Like there are many things associated, starting from preparing content to how you deliver that content, and then how you ask your students to download that content, and even it also involves like you try to get the user feedback, like what type of users the students are, what type of content they like, and then you can talk about their maybe background or their interest or maybe some learning styles also. Learning styles is also very important, which shows what type of content they prefer. It can be audio, video, text, or the combination of all these things. So this is the different things you are trying to gather from the students, and then try to deliver the content which is very suitable to the students. And this concept is also called personalized learning also, which is getting very popular these days. So these all things are integrated in the methods called pedagogy. Then talking about the open educational resources, we get different kinds of resources through YouTube or through Wikipedia, different journals, and then websites. So all these materials, what I do is I try to get all the related materials from different sources, and then I will upload that materials in some system. So that system can be called as virtual learning environment. So when I upload all those resources in that system, then the students can access that system in their suitable time. So this is what I have been following from my side. So when we get the content of different persons who have developed those content, so we can do many things like reuse or revise or remix. We can also in some cases we can modify also. I have been applying different methods. In some cases I modify the slide, but in some cases I develop from the scratch, like this slide, today's slide. I developed from the scratch, but I get the different resources from different parts. But in some cases, like the course I teach human computer interaction now in this semester, I do not make slide because I got a very nice slide which is taught in different top universities in the world, and then I deliver the same slide without doing any kind of modifications. So it depends upon the content, or it depends upon the environment, to which type of audience you are focusing. So all these things matter a lot. And this is the very carefully, because if you are trying to move towards digital education, then there are lots of resources available in the internet. So you just need to know what are the different websites where you can find your related resources. So then here are some examples of some open educational resources. These are the different sources from where you can find some resources. There are many more, but these are some very popular or common, or it has been used for several years. So then after this short background on digital pedagogy and the open educational resources, then the motivation behind why we need to move towards the concept of digital pedagogy is a very important questions. Like here are some of the main important motivation. I thought that it is very we need to address all these 4 parameters, and I think it act as a very strong parameter for the motivation to move towards digital. The first is sharing, as I mentioned before. There are different components, the materials available. We just need to find out the appropriate one and share with the students. Self-directed, when we develop the asynchronous content, so they can access that in their preferred time, and they can actually explore different resources in their preferred time, and student-based project also. And publishing is like different materials, they are published in some journal, and we get them, and we cite them, and even we can also publish in some, and we also say and the author can cite them. So in this way, there is a mechanism of sharing of knowledge, and we can also to enhance the your delivery in the field of digital teaching learning method. So then how to use digital technologies is like, these are the things I think we need to be very, very careful before teaching any course. Like, you need prior knowledge. This is very important, because if you don't know the audience or the students' background, then maybe you are delivering very, very nicely, but that content may not be appropriate or accepted by the students. So you need to have the prior knowledge. I generally take a pre-survey before starting some course. I just try to know the basic skills and the motivation behind why they are taking the course which I'm going to teach. So I just try to find that, and then modify my teaching learning style according to that. Then the next thing is, as we know that every students are not on the same level. We cannot expect different person has different strength and as well as weaknesses also. So we need to also address that. And the next thing is, when in the field of online learning, we need to also track their progress. Like, now I have been using the Moodle system in my course, and I can easily know which students are very active and who are not active. So I can also warn them. Like, yesterday I had a lecture, then I warned 4 students that you are not very active in my system, so you need to be very active. So these are information I knew by the analysis of the data, so by which I can easily track their progress also. And then the next is their goals, ambition, aspirations, the reason behind they are taking the course, and what they are going to expect from this course, and even we can match with that with their future aim also. So these all things we need to know, I think, to teach very effectively. But it is a big challenge, because the challenge is different students have different needs, different perceptions. So to match the learning to each individual learner is a very, very big challenge. It's very difficult. And one of the solution can be, like, you can design the adaptive content. That what I have been trying at the moment. I'm trying to develop adaptive content, so that I believe that that content is going to be accepted. But I'm not sure. But I'm trying. I'm improving my structural design in compared to last. Doing all these things is I want my students to enjoy my content, enjoy my lectures. So I'm just trying different things. So, and for all these things, digital technology can make differentiation, because as you know that when we get some data regarding the student prior knowledge, regarding the student interest, then there's a maximum chance that you will develop a diverse content, and then that diverse content is going to be useful or accepted by your students. So here is one example which I have been following. I am teaching one course called Human-Computer Interaction, and this is our MOOC system we developed. And then in this system, I have been implementing the concept of MOOC. So here you will find different kinds of activities like lesson activities. So lesson activity is basically a combination of text and video, and there are some video activity, and there are also some quiz activity. So every week lecture I deliver through Google Meet, and then all the related materials I upload in this system. And this is week 1, week 2, week 3. So to go to week 2, a student must appear the quiz and also score at least 80% to go to week 2. Similarly, to go to week 3, so they have to score at least 80%. And the next thing is, it is very flexible. Like only the quiz is mandatory, but the other things are not mandatory. So that means if you like, you can explore all the contents. If you don't like, you can explore. You may not explore or direct solve the quiz. But if you are not able to get 80% in the quiz, and there is an additional lesson. So additional lesson is basically you will get the answer of all the quizzes. So this is for additional help. And then you can assess 40% of the content or 80%. So it's upon you. It's open. And then I found that my student has been enjoying a lot because um, in every week I have also kept one feedback section, and then the students are saying that this sort of system we are using for the first time, so hope the other instructor also use this system, so it will be very interesting. This sort of feedback I'm getting. So this is the instructional design I am using at the moment, and from this I'm gathering different kinds of data, and from that data I'm trying to develop the personalized adaptive system. So trying to know the user interest. So this is my research actually. I'm doing research on it also. Now I'm doing experimentation. So there are many tools which will enhance your teaching learning method. Like for example, we say that it is very difficult to teach math. I mean, you have to deal with different numbers. So there is a very interesting tool called Whiteboard. Whiteboard is an online whiteboard tool. It's very easy. So by which the teacher can create a new class, and then they can share this class, and they can have some room code. Like in this example, U4929, you can assume this as a room number. So when the teacher share this room code, and then student can access through this room code, and then the teacher can give one task like 2 into 2. What is the answer? So this is the teacher part of the whiteboard, and in the next part, the student can give the answer, and then the teacher can know that what is the name of the student. And in the teacher part, so if there are many students, then there are many boxes generated, and from that online also the teacher can identify who gave the right answer or not. So this is one very simple tool by which you can teach. You can give some tasks, and then you can see the result of the students. So then talking about the pedagogy methods, so these are some of the pedagogy methods. Like active learning is basically where you try to engage your students. You change the decoration of your classrooms. Like maybe you can arrange the table in a round style, like uh, keeping a round table. So it is more focused on group activities. Then Bloom's taxonomy, we all know about Bloom's taxonomy, and there are very interesting, very useful parameters in Bloom's taxonomy, which I'll be mentioning after some time also. Then there is another method called case study, where you give some cases, and it's like a mini research project. Then there is next is the flipped classroom. It's just opposite of a usual normal classroom. And then the gamification, we have been doing research in gamification also at the moment. One of my students is doing his master thesis under me, and he is working on gamification, like how the gamification has the relation with the user engagement. And we have been implementing self-determining theory to know that whether the gamification plays the very positive role in enhancing the user engagement or not. So this is one research currently going. Next is peer instruction, where you can take a peer of students, then you can ask them to share their knowledge, because every student might not have the same level. Then next is the student engagement system, like you can develop small groups and give some activities and ask them to do some different tasks. So these are the different pedagogy methods, very popular pedagogy methods. And different approaches are like to do this, then what you do is basically the main focus has to be your teaching learning has to be very, very student centered. And then for that, basically you say something, and you can interpret it as a dialogue also, like what you say and what you get, you both can be it's called a dialogic learning, but you say something to students, but there has some valid reasons behind it. So these are the different approaches you can follow. Then talking about the teaching practice, I have already mentioned before also, there are basically three. Online content is basically it's asynchronous mode. So what we expect is student outside school can do this. Inside school is basically a face-to-face, and then when we take both, then it is called hybrid learning or blended learning. So talking about the Bloom's taxonomy, these are the 6 parameters for Bloom's taxonomy. I think we all are familiar with it. So in school that is face-to-face, we focus on first three, that is remember, understand, and apply. And in outside school, we focused on last 3, that is analyze, evaluate, and create. So when now the concept of flipped learning is also getting very popular. In flipped learning, it's just the opposite. The Bloom's taxonomy is just opposite in the case of flipped learning. So where you ask the student to do all the things to, like, for example, I'm giving lecture on some topic, then I ask the students to analyze, evaluate, create different materials regarding that topic, and then when they come to school next week, then I implement the remember, understand, the apply concept. So Bloom's taxonomy is just opposite in the case of flipped learning. So now the question can arise is, everything is available in internet, that is outside school, then why students need to come in school? So this is one very, very interesting questions that we can argue on. But I still believe that we cannot go fully on MOOC system, like evaluate everything from their home, because in some cases the collaboration or the physical interaction is also very important to know the status of the students, to analyze how it has been doing. So going full virtual is also not a good solution, I think. So I think blended approach can be a better option, especially in the case of Nepal. And the other thing I would like to mention is, I think MOOC, online learning system, even the MOOC system is very, very useful in Nepal, because due to geographical barrier, you will find a quality school and then quality teachers in the valley area. But if you go outside Kathmandu Valley, then it is very hard to find even the qualified teachers. Like, I can give you some examples, especially in our case, IT teachers, like there are many CSIT colleges in Nepal. But when you go outside Valley, the teachers are not so well equipped in that part. In different regions, we have found that. So when teachers are not well qualified, then you cannot expect the students to be very good, because both the parties has to be very good. Both students and the teachers has to be very, very serious and very well equipped in their courses for the good quality education. So this is the problem. So when we go towards online, then I think many problems can be addressed, like the teacher who is well equipped, like for example in reinforcement learning or machine learning or deep learning. If you find some very good teacher in deep learning, then that teacher can teach the students from all Nepal in the same time through online. So in this way also the students outside Valley also can get a good education from a good teacher. So so I see a very good what you say perspective, or the very positive impact of online education in Nepal. Then the first is sharing the documents, and next is the collaboration. So the learners can collaborate using digital technology. And I can give you some example like Google Doc, Google Drive, Google Forms. So these are some of the techniques or tools which are used for these both purposes. It is very easy to use also, and which is very effective also. So all these things, if we implement all the things which I mentioned now, so this can lead to a classroom of divergent thinking, sharing, collaboration, experimental practice. So I believe that rote learning is not a solution, because even when I teach in my university, in my lecture, most of the tasks are group based, and I do not believe in taking exam for a long time and evaluating only through exam. So I asked them to do some project. I asked them to present. So I'm engaging more in a group activities. So there is one very interesting concept called STEAM education, which is the combination of science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. So we can also focus in the field of STEAM education. Like we can make a small group and then give some tasks and then ask them to follow the concept of STEAM, where they will see that task from a different angle. And then in that case, they can make a very good product. So this can be one of the very good approach. So then overall, what is the benefit is what we are trying to do is we are not only acquiring the knowledge, but we are trying our students to create the knowledge, because when you give some group activities and then from that group, from that knowledge sharing, because there are different minds involved. So when we do that, what I believe is they can create something very good. I have some very interesting examples, because recently I took an internal assessment of my course in human-computer interaction, and I asked my students to make a video of maximum 5 minutes in some topic, like maybe ethnographic observation or Norman principles. I asked them. It was a very new experience for me as well as for them also. And I told them that your target audience are the undergraduate second year students who do not have the basic knowledge of human-computer interaction. So your video must be better than all the videos available in YouTube. So this was the challenge I gave them. So I thought that I think I give them a very challenging task, that I thought, because to develop a video which is better than available in the YouTube is a very, very big task. But yesterday they submitted some videos, and I went through 3-4 videos which were very, very nice. They had their own voiceover and they had their own interactive concept. So some videos were brilliant, even better than the available in the YouTube. So what I believe is, if we give the chance or the opportunity, or if you create an environment, I think then our students can do well. So for all these things, we need the use of technology. So overall, what output we can get is, then if we follow all these things, then I think the learning is connected, network, broadened, meaningful, and energized. If we follow all the things which I mentioned in today's lecture, then I think these all things can be achieved. Then I have this picture of Digital Nepal conference where we have our Manoj also here in the picture. So we participated in this Digital Nepal conference. Why I kept this picture in this slide is because our country, Nepal, is our government is very serious in this part, because they have been talking a lot about Digital Nepal. Even the Prime Minister came himself, and he was very enthusiastic in the in his speak or the presentation. So our country, we are very serious in this field. So I think the concept of all these things, what I mentioned in today's lecture, is going to be very useful. So then the next is digital government. Digital government is basically you are making some different transactions like online in the government, especially in the government sector, because if we have to pay some bill, also we have to travel a lot and then sit in a queue for a whole day. So this is the existing reality of Nepal. So in this way, we are not going to improve or develop. So I think we have to implement digital governance in every sector as much as possible. And there are basically 4 important components, and one of the components is technology. So all these things which I have been mentioning now is using technology. So if we are able to equip our teachers as well as the students in the field of technology, then I think it will be very easy to disseminate the information of importance of technology to all the other kinds of people, and then from that we can easily implement the concept of digital governments. So here is one picture, like what sort of activities are done in the digital government. Basically, you interact with the government, different offices, different sectors through online or through some use of technology. So that is the basic concept of digital government. So I think these are some of the questions which we need to think about, like what approaches make sense. I talk about different approaches of teaching. So the same kind of approaches may not be applicable in different levels. So you have to implement one approach in primary, the other is secondary. And I basically focus on higher education in this lecture because I have been teaching in higher education for a long time. So I have some good experience on that also, and just I explained about what kinds of approach I follow to teach my students, and I have been getting a good feedback actually, because they like the teaching style and the way I deliver them. I think I'm doing good in this field. But still, I want to improve in my area. So I have been trying to implement several new concepts also. Like as I showed you, I implemented MOOC system for the first time in my course. So I have been trying to develop or implement new things every year. The next is, what other approaches would you recommend? So maybe you might have some other approaches, because I have no experience of teaching in the primary or the secondary level. So maybe for that, in that cases, so maybe some kind of hybrid approach or some kind of another approach can be better. What concerns do you have about digital learning? So this can be one of the topic to debate. What advantage you see? I have explained many advantages of online learning, and what are some strategies for promoting digital learning? So this is the thing I think our government and the private sector has to be very serious. Like we need to follow strategy. Just teaching through Zoom or Google Meet is not online learning. It's only a small part of online learning. So we need to implement the concept of blended learning, or maybe some MOOC system. We have to do that because there is no other option at the moment. So in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say over from all these different kinds of slides is, now the teaching learning method has to be very different, because the students are well equipped with the different kinds of technology from their childhood. The environment is different. So the way I learn in my time is not going to be appropriate the way I teach in this time. So I have been trying to implement new concept, doing different kinds of experiment, because the way I learn is not going to be useful now, because our students are more, they are very smarter than us. They are more brilliant, smarter. They can do anything, but we just need to guide them. And the other thing I would like to mention is, in university, basically in university, it's not a teaching. We have to just provide the environment. Going to the class and delivering exam is not going to work now. We just need to create the environment where we give different kinds of project and guide them. So if we go in that method, then our students are very smart enough to do anything. So the basic or the traditional teaching learning method is not going to work now. The other thing in the end I would like to mention I recently followed the educational policy of Indian government. They have recently done many, I think, big reforms, very interesting reforms, where you can take different courses also. Almost all the things I like, except the one is in grade 6, I think they have introduced programming. So I don't know whether grade 6 students is appropriate for programming or not. So there are some issues, but India has recently done some big, nice changes in the field of education. So we also have to do it as soon as possible, because if we follow the same method, then producing a good students in future. So this is it. Thank you very much. So if you have any queries or maybe some suggestions, then I'll be very happy to take. Thank you.
Thank you, Sushil sir, for a very insightful and informative presentation. Now the floor is open for questions. If you have any questions, you can ask, but let's do one by one and make sure that we are not talking at the same time. Also, people who are viewing it on our Facebook live, you can comment your questions and then we can get that answered as well. So yeah, the floor is open for questions.
मेरो एउटा क्वेसनमा सोधिहाल्छु है, सुनिराख्नु भइरहेछ?
सुनिरहेछ।
सुन्नु न, हजुरको मास्टर स्टुडेन्टले जुन, अब मलाई चाहिँ त्यो टेक्नोलोजिकल वाला नै पहिला हिट भयो होइन, जुन मास्टर स्टुडेन्टले गेमिफिकेसनकोमा गरिराख्नु भइरहेछ भन्नुभयो नि होइन, त्यो चाहिँ अब तपाईँको यो अनलाइन टिचर लर्निङको उसमा कसरी रिलेटेड भयो? लाइक वाट एक्ज्याक्टली इज गेमिफिकेसन अनि कसरी चाहिँ रिलेटेड भयो भनेर, किनकि गेमिफिकेसन भन्ने बित्तिकै गेम दिमागमा आयो मलाई चाहिँ होइन. I don't know if that's how it is.
Okay, good question. यसमा हामीले खास के गर्न खोजेको भन्दाखेरि एउटा मुकको एउटा के छ कन्सेप्ट भन्दाखेरि अनलाइन लर्निङ के भनौँ यु क्यानट इन्सिस्ट ओर फोर्स द युजर्स टु युज द सिस्टम एउटा यसको एउटा चाहिँ एथिक पनि हो यो। अब यसमा के छ भन्दाखेरि अब अहिले हामीले मोडल सिस्टम युज गरिरहेको छौँ मैले क्लास लिनको लागि बट एथिक अब मैले यु हेभ टु बी एक्टिभ अदरवाइज आई विल नट गिभ यु गुड मार्क भन्यो भने स्टुडेन्टले आफै चलाउँछ त्यो मार्कको लागि पनि चलाउँछ। तर मेरो टार्गेट त त्यो होइन नि, मेरो टार्गेट त अहिले त्यहाँ सेल्फ इन्ट्रेस्टको कुरा आएको थियो नि। स्टुडेन्ट आफै सेल्फ इन्ट्रेस्ट भएर मैले उनीहरूलाई के पनि भनेको छु भने यहाँ धेरै थरी मटेरियल्सहरू छ तर तिमीलाई जे मन लाग्छ त्यही चलाऊ, इट इज नट म्यान्डेटरी टु एसेस अल भन्नु मैले यसरी ओपन छोडिदिएको छु। खास छोड्ने नै यसरी ओपन हो, मैले चाहिँ फोर्स गर्न मिल्दैन, त्यो एथिकली पनि मिल्दैन। अब यसमा के भयो भन्दाखेरि स्टुडेन्टलाई कसरी इन्डाइरेक्टली इन्ट्रेस्ट बनाउने त, अब त्यो बाई फोर्स त गर्नु भएन भनेपछि इन्डाइरेक्टली इन्ट्रेस्ट बनाउनु लागि चाहिँ वान अफ द मेथड वाट वी फाउन्ड इज गेमिफिकेसन। गेमिफिकेसनले के गर्छ भन्दाखेरि जस्तै त्यहाँ ब्याचेसहरू आउँछ, लिडर बोर्डहरू आउँछ होइन, अनि त्यसपछि सर्टिङ पोइन्टहरू आइरहेको हुन्छ। अब यहाँ हामीले के पायौँ भन्दाखेरि त्यो ब्याचेस लिडर बोर्ड पोइन्टको लागि पनि स्टुडेन्टले चाहिँ एक आपसमा चाहिँ कम्पिटिसन गरेको पायौँ। अब को फर्स्ट हुने भनेर चाहिँ अब उसले जित्यो, उसको नम्बर यति आयो, म उसलाई जित्छु भनेर उनीहरूले चाहिँ अब त्यो पोइन्ट पाउन पनि उनीहरूले धेरै एक्टिभिटीहरू गरेको पाइयो। सो यसलाई चाहिँ हामी गेमिफिकेसन अप्रोच भन्छौँ। यसको पनि डिफ्रेन्ट थ्योरिजहरू छ तर हाम्रो रिसर्च चाहिँ अहिले बेसिकली सेल्फ डिटरमाइनिङ थ्योरी आफैले सेल्फ मोटिभेट भएर चाहिँ कसरी चाहिँ गेमिफिकेसनको पार्टबाट चाहिँ युजर इन्गेजमेन्ट बढाउन सकिन्छ भनेर यसमा अहिले भइरहेको छ रिसर्च। र यसमा हामीले अर्को के गर्न खोजिरहेको छौँ भन्दाखेरि सबैभन्दा इम्पोर्टेन्ट कुरो मलाई के लाग्छ भन्दाखेरि मोटिभेसन चाहिँ हुनुपर्छ। म आफू पनि रिसर्चमा लागेको 5-6 वर्ष भयो अनि मलाई इन्ट्रेस्ट पनि छ, म इन्ट्रेस्ट भएर लागेको, आफै सेल्फ मोटिभेट भएरै लागेको होइन। अब अरूले फोर्स गर्नु भन्दा पनि म आफ्नो इन्ट्रेस्ट लागेको। अहिले मैले पिएचडी गरेको पनि आफ्नो इन्ट्रेस्टले गरेको, मैले कसैले पिएचडी गर भन्नु परे होइन, त्यो भनेको सेल्फ मोटिभेट हो क्या। अब मेरो चाहना पनि के हो भन्दाखेरि स्टुडेन्ट पनि सेल्फ मोटिभेट भएर चाहिँ पढोस् भन्ने चाहना। जस्तो हामीले पनि डिफ्रेन्ट स्टुडेन्टहरू लिन्छौँ, उनीहरू आफै इन्ट्रेस्ट दिएर आओस् मसँग रिसर्च गर्न भनेर। अहिले धेरैजना आइ पनि रहेको छन्, अब सबैलाई त एकाउन्ट गर्न सकिँदैन, सर्टेन ग्रुपसँग काम पनि गरिरहेको छौँ। सो मेरो चाहना चाहिँ के हुन्छ जहिले पनि भन्दाखेरि मैले पढाएको कुरो चाहिँ उनीहरू सेल्फ इन्ट्रेस्ट भएर पढोस् र पढेर मलाई क्वेसनहरू सोधोस् र मैले बनाएको सिस्टम चाहिँ आफै मोटिभेट भएर चलाओस् भन्ने मेरो एउटा विस हो। तर अब मैले विस गरेर त हुँदैन भने यस्तो एउटा इन्भाइरोमेन्ट क्रिएट गर्नु पर्यो जसले गर्दा चाहिँ उनीहरूमा चाहिँ यो चलाउँ भन्ने एउटा एक किसिमको इन्थुजियाज्म आओस्। र यसको लागि चाहिँ हामीले एउटा पाएको एउटा टेक्निक चाहिँ के हो भन्दाखेरि हामी चाहिँ गेमिफाइड एलिमेन्ट्सहरू चाहिँ यसरी राख्यो भने चाहिँ अन्त स्टुडेन्ट्स विल बी के अरे मोर मोटिभेटेड भन्ने कुरा पाएको भएर ल हेरौँ त यसले चाहिँ इङ्गेजमेन्ट बढाउँदैन भनेर त्यो अहिले एउटा एक्सपेरिमेन्ट चाहिँ गरे हो। अनि यसमै एकजनाले मास्टर्स पनि गरिरहेको छ रिसर्च। I hope I answer your query.
हजुर सर।
अर्को एउटा क्वेसन चाहिँ यहाँ टाइप गरेर पठाउनु भएको छ प्रज्वलले। I participated in a hackathon whose goal was to solve a somewhat similar problems you are trying to solve with the research process you are currently doing. If I want to contribute to that in a way possible, can I do that? What are the first steps? भनेर सोध्नु भएको रहेछ। अरु कसैलाई पनि क्वेशन सोध्नु छ भने टाइप गर्न नि सक्नुहुन्छ।
भनेको प्रज्वलले भनेको चाहिँ के हामीसँग कोलाबोरेट गर्ने भनेर भनेको हो कि के भनेको? आई पार्टिसिपेट इन अ ह्याकाथन हुज गोल वाज टु गिभ अ समवाट सिमिलर प्रब्लम भनेको कुन प्रब्लम भनेको? मैले त यहाँ धेरै 4-5वटा कोही अप्रोचको कुराहरू गरेको छु। यु आर ट्राइङ टु सल्भ विथ द रिसर्च प्रोसेस यु आर कर्नेली डुइङ भनेको गेमिफिकेसनको कुरा गरे होला। इफ आई वान्ट टु कन्ट्रिब्युट टु द्याट इन भनेको वाट काइन्ड अफ कन्ट्रिब्युसन यु वान्ट टु हामीसँग मिलेर काम गर्ने भनेको हो कि ल्याबमा के हो? डिजाइन पार्टबाट भनेको त्यो अघि मैले एउटा इन्स्ट्रक्सनल डिजाइन देखाएँ। सो हामीले अहिले बनाएको चाहिँ डिजाइन त्यही नै हो तर हामीले चाहिँ यसमा अब डिफ्रेन्ट गेमिफाइड एलिमेन्ट्सहरू हालेको छौँ। आई थिङ्क इफ यु आर इन्ट्रेस्टेड के गरी अब यसमा अलिकति तिमीसँग चाहिँ नलेज पनि छ, म केही गरौँ त यो के रहेछ भन्ने जस्तो लाग्छ भने म यहाँ इमेल एड्रेस दिन्छु मेरो, मलाई आफ्नो सर्ट एउटा ब्याकग्राउन्ड लेखेर चाहिँ आफ्नो बारेमा लेखेर चाहिँ अनि तिमीले ह्याकाथनमा के गरेको त्यो पनि अलिकति डिस्क्राइब गरेर लेख। अनि त्यसपछि चाहिँ अनि म मेरो स्टुडेन्टसँग चाहिँ तिमीलाई गराइदिन्छु, कनेक्ट गराइदिन्छु एन्ड देन यु बोथ चाहिँ कुरा गरेर अनि गर न काम है। मेरो यसमा इमेल एड्रेस छ। ओके
नेक्स्ट चाहिँ अर्को एउटा क्वेसन छ हजुरले एडाप्टिभ कन्टेन्ट कुरा गर्नुभयो एज अ स्टुडेन्ट आई वान्ट टु आस्क फर अ स्मल एक्जाम्पल अफ एडाप्टिभ कन्टेन्ट एन्ड स्टुडेन्टलाई कसरी इङ्गेज गराउँछ?
एडाप्टिभ कन्टेन्ट र पर्सनलाइज कन्टेन्ट भनेको लगभग उस्तै हो। यसले चाहिँ के भन्छ भन्दाखेरि एडाप्टिभले चाहिँ के भन्छ भन्दाखेरि अलिकति डाटा ड्रिभन हुनु पर्यो भन्छ क्या। डाटा ड्रिभन भनेको के हो भने मैले पढाउँदाखेरि चाहिँ मैले आई क्यान प्रोभाइड यु डिफ्रेन्ट टाइप्स अफ कन्टेन्ट, तर मेरो स्टुडेन्टलाई कस्तो खालको कन्टेन्ट चाहिँ मनपर्छ भन्ने कुरा मलाई थाहा हुँदैन। सो मैले स्टुडेन्टको पर्सेप्सन लिएर चाहिँ त्यो अनुसारको दिने भयो। अब त्यो एडाप्टिभ इज मोर लाइक डाटा ड्रिभन, तिम्रो त्यो डाटा अनुसार चाहिँ त्यो भेराइटी अफ कन्टेन्टहरू दिने। अब जस्तै फर इक्जाम्पल स्टुडेन्टले चाहिँ कुनमा बढी टाइम दिइरहेछ, अडियो दिइरहेछ, भिडियो दिइरहेछ, कस्तो खालको इङ्गेजमेन्ट बढी भइरहेछ त्यो अनुसार चाहिँ भन्ने हो। अब यो एडाप्टिभ कन्टेन्ट भएर चाहिँ हामीले अलिकति त्यसमा चाहिँ यो कोग्निटिभ साइन्सको कुरा आउँछ। यो कोग्निटिभ पर्सेप्सनबाट पनि त्यसलाई चाहिँ जोड्यो भने चाहिँ अनि त्यहाँबाट चाहिँ मलाई के थाहा हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि मसँग 10 जना स्टुडेन्ट छ भने 10 जना को चाहिँ यस्तो रहेछ ल चाहिँ उनीहरूको चाहिँ पर्सेप्सन। जस्तै म एउटा इक्जाम्पल दिन्छु। यसमा एउटा चाहिँ फिल्डर सिल्भरम्यानले एउटा लर्निङ स्टाइल बनाएको छ, त्यसलाई हामी इन्डेक्स लर्निङ स्टाइल आइएलएस पनि भन्छौँ। र उसले चाहिँ 8वटा कम्पोनेन्टमा डिभाइड गरेको छ, एक्टिभ, पर्सेप्सन, इन्ट्युसन भनेर। अब कस्तो खालको फिचर भयो भने चाहिँ एक्टिभ हुने, कस्तो खालको चाहिँ पर्सेप्सन हुने, यो चाहिँ आइएलएस चाहिँ एकदम पपुलर युज लर्निङ स्टाइल पनि हो। यसको 44वटा क्वेसन्स अनि हरेक 11वटाले चाहिँ एक-एकवटा चाहिँ कम्पोनेन्ट गरेर 4वटा कम्पोनेन्ट छ अनि 4वटा कम्पोनेन्टले चाहिँ फर्दर डिभाइड गरेर 2-2वटामा डिभाइड गरेर छ, टोटल 8वटा कम्पोनेन्ट छ। अनि त्यहाँबाट चाहिँ हामीले त्यो सर्वे लिएर पनि मलाई थाहा हुन्छ कि मेरो स्टुडेन्ट चाहिँ यस्तो खालको मान्छे रहेछ, अझ यसमा एक्टिभमा पर्दो रहेछ अथवा चाहिँ अर्को इन्टिटिभमा पर्दो रहेछ। एउटा त्यो भयो। अर्को भार्क भन्ने पनि छ। भार्कले के देखाउँछ भन्दाखेरि मेरो चाहिँ स्टुडेन्ट भिजुअलतिर बढी टिल्ड छ कि अथवा के। सो यसरी चाहिँ हामीले फिडब्याकहरू लिएर त्यो अनुसारको कन्टेन्टहरू डेलिभर गराउन सक्छौँ। अब इङ्गेजमेन्टको कुरा गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ इङ्गेजमेन्ट त आफै सेल्फ मोटिभेट भरै गर्ने हो, यसमा इन्सिस्ट गर्न मिल्दैन। तर हामीले अहिले भने जस्तै गेमिफाइड एलिमेन्ट्सहरू हालेर चाहिँ इङ्गेजमेन्ट बढाउन चाहिँ हामीले ट्राई गरिरहेको छौँ। नेक्स्ट।
थ्याङ्क यू। अरू कसैको क्वेसन्स केही छ?
यहाँ छ जस्तो छ क्वेसन्स। अर्को अमन राजको।
ए होइन, उहाँको चाहिँ जिडीजीलाई नै क्वेसन जस्तो लाग्छ। उहाँको चाहिँ अमनजीको चाहिँ
ओके ओके
रागीको चाहिँ हामीले ठ्याक्क अहिले सोधिसक्यो जुन एडाप्टिभ कन्टेन्ट थियो अनि अर्को चाहिँ आई थिङ्क लाइक एभ्री वान वान्ट्स टु नो दिस होइन। अब हजुर डिफ्रेन्ट इन्टरनेसनल प्लेटफर्ममा गएर पनि अब स्पिचेसहरू दिनुभयो लर्निङको रिलेटेड नै होइन। नेपाल र अब अघि नै पनि हामीले डिस्कस गर्नु त गरिसक्यो होइन, तर नेपाल र बाहिरको कन्टेक्स्टमा इफ कम्पेयर गर्नुभयो भने कस्तो खालको डिफ्रेन्स छ होइन, अनि उनीहरूलाई क्याचअप गर्नलाई हामीले अब के गर्न सक्छौँ या हाम्रो कतिको डिफ्रेन्स छ त्यो अलिकति भनिदिनु न त्यसमा।
मेरो एक्सपिरियन्सले के भन्छ भन्दाखेरि हामी अलिकति डिसिप्लिन र एटिट्युड चाहिँ अलिकति इम्प्रुभ गर्नुपर्छ जस्तो लाग्छ स्टुडेन्टहरूले। मलाई यो कुरा कहाँनिर फिल हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि इभन केयुकै कुरा गर्दा पनि केही क्वेसन दे आर भेरी गुड इन नलेजको हिसाबले उनीहरू त राम्रो छन् क्या, नलेजको हिसाबले उनीहरूले कामहरू गर्छन् नि। तर समस्यामा कहाँ देख्छु भने एउटा कुरा कस्तो हुँदो रहेछ भने यो म जेनरली जस्तो ल्याबमा कोही मान्छे राख्नु पर्यो भने म ट्यालेन्ट मान्छे भन्दा पनि एटिट्युड राम्रो भएको राख्छु क्या मान्छे। किनभने मान्छे ट्यालेन्ट छ तर धेरै आर्ग्यु गर्ने अनि एकदमै प्राउड गर्ने मान्छेले म खासै इन्टरटेन गर्दिनँ। तर कोही चाहिँ केही सिक्न खोजिरहेछ अलि एटिट्युड राम्रो छ भने चाहिँ म उसलाई बढी प्रिफर गर्छु। मैले एक्जाम्पल किन दिएँ भन्दाखेरि बाहिर धेरै ठाउँमा ट्राभल गर्दाखेरि स्टुडेन्ट दे आर भेरी सेल्फ मोटिभेटेड, उनीहरू यति काम गर्छन् र एउटा प्रोफेसरलाई पनि एकदम उच्च क्या सम्मान। म अस्ति पोल्यान्ड गएर बसेँ म एक हप्ता, त्यहाँ एउटा प्रोफेसरले बोलाउनु भएको थियो। त्यो प्रोफेसरलाई जाँदाखेरि उसको स्टुडेन्टहरू यस्तो राम्रो थियो कि यस्तो एटेन्टिभ चाहिँ एकदम सिन्सियर भनौँ न एकदम होइन। अब हाम्रोमा चाहिँ अलिकति एटिट्युडमा चाहिँ अलि मलाई समस्या कहाँनिर लाग्छ भने अलिकति रेस्पेक्ट गर्नेदेखि लिएर ट्यालेन्ट चाहिँ हुन्छौँ हामी। अब त्यही स्टुडेन्ट चाहिँ बाहिर गयो भने फेरि एकदम राम्रो हुन्छ होइन, त्यसको इन्भाइरोमेन्ट होला एउटा त्यो छ। अनि अर्को चाहिँ हाम्रोमा मैले कमी एउटा के देख्छु भन्दाखेरि एक्सपोजर छैन क्या यहाँ। अब यहाँ इन्टरनेसनल कन्फरेन्सहरू नै हुँदैन होइन, एकदमै रेयर हुन्छ। भए पनि अब क्लाइमेट चेन्ज यहाँ यस्तैको मात्रै हुन्छ। हामीलाई त अब मसिन लर्निङको चाहियो। अस्ति भर्खर एउटा चाहिँ एकदम राम्रो गर्यो म आफैले पनि पार्टिसिपेट गरेको थिएँ, त्यो मलाई एकदम राम्रो लागेको थियो। तर हामीले यस्तो इभेन्टहरू हुनु पर्यो किन हामीमा ट्यालेन्टको कमी छैन। अस्ति त्यो इभेन्टमा 150 भन्दा धेरैजना थियो, राम्रो हामीसँग राम्रो डाटा साइन्टिस्टहरू छ हाम्रोमा अहिले, त्यो प्रब्लम छैन। तर कोलाबोरेसनै छैन क्या हाम्रोमा चाहिँ अनहेल्दी ऊ भयो कम्पिटिसन। एउटा सिएसआइटी कलेजले अर्को सिएसआइटी कलेजलाई रिस्क गर्ने अनि एकदम अनहेल्दी गर्ने कम्पिटिसन। अब हामी टियुमा यस्तो राम्रो स्टुडेन्टहरू छन्, टियुमा पनि छ होइन, सिएसआइटीमा पनि छ, तर हामीले कहिले पनि कोलाबोरेट गरेर गरौँ त एउटा प्लेटफर्म बनाऊ भन्ने चाहिँ एउटा भन्ने हाम्रो चाहिँ अनहेल्दी भयो क्या। अब ऊ राम्रो कि म राम्रो भन्ने यस्तो अनहेल्दीमा चाहिँ हामी गयौँ। त्यही भएर अबको फ्युचर भनेको कोलाबोरेटिभ हो। हामीले कम्पिटिसन गरेर गयौँ भने आखिर त्यो कसैलाई पनि राम्रो हुँदैन। अनि एउटा कोलाबोरेसनको एउटा कल्चर बनाउनु पर्छ जस्तो लाग्छ। त्यही भएर मैले धेरै अगाडिदेखि भनेको कुरा चाहिँ रिसर्च सेन्टर हुनुपर्छ, एउटा रिसर्च सेन्टर जहाँ चाहिँ रिसर्च इन्क्युबेसन सेन्टर पनि भन्न सक्छौँ। त्यसरी ग्रो गर्ने स्टुडेन्टहरूलाई त्यहाँ चाहिँ हरेक सिएसआइटी होस् अथवा डिफ्रेन्ट फिल्डको मान्छेहरू आउने, बाहिरको मान्छेले मेन्टरिङ गर्ने र स्टुडेन्टहरू पनि अलिकति स्टुडेन्टलाई पनि अलिकति एथिकको कुराहरू अनि डिसिप्लिनको कुराहरू चाहिँ अलिकति सिकाउनु पर्छ जस्तो लाग्छ, स्पेसली अहिलेको यङ जेनेरेसनमा चाहिँ। अब मैले अस्ति पढाउँदाखेरि मेरो आफ्नै एउटा एक्सपिरियन्स सेयर गर्दाखेरि फर्स्ट टाइम म यसरी उसमा गुगल मिटमा आएँ, मेरो फर्स्ट क्लास थियो, तर मैले पढाउने स्टुडेन्टलाई चाहिँ मैले अहिलेसम्म पढाएको पनि थिएन। अनि त्यसपछि मेरो एउटा टाइममा चाहिँ हामी एकदम स्ट्रिक्ट हुनुपर्छ भन्छ। मैले के भनेको थिएँ भन्दाखेरि 12:13 सबैजना अनलाइन आउने, म 12:15 आउँछु अनि त्यहाँदेखि आई स्टार्ट सार्प एज 12:16 भनेको थिएँ। त्यो यसरी टाइम एउटा दिएको। अब म ठ्याक्क 12:15 आएको थिएँ, तर स्टुडेन्टले मलाई चाहिँ त्यो स्क्रिनमा चाहिँ उसले चाहिँ म आएको याद गरेन। फर्स्ट क्लास पनि थियो, मलाई चिनाइ पनि थिएन। एन्ड देन वान स्टुडेन्ट वाज सेइङ, त्यो माइक पनि अन गरेर, ओहो इमेलमा त खतरा, म चाहिँ टाइमको एकदम स्ट्रिक्ट भन्छु, खोइ त आएको भन्ने यस्तो खालको एन्सर के। एन्ड देन आई हर्ड द्याट है, मलाई एकदम बोर लागेको थियो। मैले के भने हेर भाइ, तिमीले अलिक मलाई त यसो भन्यो, मलाई एकछिन रिस उठ्छ, तर मलाई स्टुडेन्टमा माया लाग्छ। तर यस्तै एटिट्युड तिमीले आफ्नो कम्पनीमा गरेर दियो भने यु विल फायर, तुरुन्त तिमी फायर हुन्छ। चाहे तिमी जसको ट्यालेन्ट होस्, जसको के मतलब छैन। त्यही भएर आइदर यु इम्प्रुभ अर आई विल अनइनरोल फ्रम माई क्लास भनेर। सो यस्तो खालको चाहिँ ल्याङ्ग्वेजहरू बोल्नु पर्छ क्या। त्यही भएर यो हाम्रोमा चाहिँ के छ भने ट्यालेन्ट मात्रै भएर हुँदैन कि, एउटा एक्सपोजरको कमी छ, अर्को चाहिँ यो डिसिप्लिन एटिट्युड पनि चाहिन्छ भन्छु म चाहिँ। सो यो कुराहरू मैले बाहिर र यहाँ चाहिँ मैले त्यो धेरै फरक पाएको छ। बाहिरको स्टुडेन्टहरू उनीहरू यति सिरियस हुन्छन् पढाइमा, उनीहरूलाई हाम्रो चाहिँ बढी उ गर्ने हुन्छ नि, ब्याक बाइटिङ भन्छ नि, आफ्नो काम नगर्ने अर्को कुरा गर्ने। तर बाहिरको स्टुडेन्टहरू यति सिरियस हुन्छ, उनीहरूको काममा यति रेस्पेक्ट पनि गर्छन्, यति सिरियस हुन्छन्, त्योहरू पनि त्यो एटिट्युडले पनि धेरै फरक पार्छ जस्तो लाग्छ। ओके
हजुर, थ्याङ्क यू। हाम्रो अरू कसैले ऊ भन्नुभएको छ, एकजना लेख्नु भएको छ, मेरो आन्टी र म यो टक सुनिरा सी इज अ टिचर एन्ड प्रायर टु कोभिड सी वाज नेभर द्याट इन्भल्भ इन टेक्नोलोजी। अब उहाँ जस्तो कति धेरै टिचर हुनुहुन्छ, यस्तो सिनारियोमा चाहिँ हाउ क्यान वी इन्भल्भ एन्ड हेल्प देम इन अनलाइन टिचिङ भन्नुभएको छ।
अब यो चाहिँ यस्तो छ, फेसबुक चलाएको थियो। अब मेरो बुवा आमाले पहिला फेसबुक चलाउनु हुँदैन थियो, बिकज उहाँहरूलाई चाहिँ त्यो के भन्छ फेसबुकको त्यो उनी इम्पोर्टेन्स नै त्यति अब थाहा भएन भनौँ न। अब अहिले चाहिँ सबैजनाले चलाउनु थाले चाहिँ आफूले चलाउनु पर्यो, अनि दे लर्न बाई देमसेल्फ। अनि अब सुरुमा त हामीले हेल्प गर्नै पर्छ, अनि त्यसपछि नाउ उहाँहरू मभन्दा पनि बढी एक्टिभ युजर्स हो। अब भने जस्तै यो अनलाइन लर्निङ पनि के हुँदो रहेछ भन्दाखेरि अब चाहिँ के अरे रहर भन्दा पनि बाध्यता भयो क्या। अब पहिला चाहिँ यसो हेरौँला नि भन्ने हुन्थ्यो, तर अब यो कोभिडको कारणले त सबैले चाहिँ स्कुलले चाहिँ अनलाइन लर्निङमै पढाउनु पर्छ भनेर उनी बनाइदिसक्यो, एक किसिमको त्यो रुल नै भइसक्यो। इफ यु डोन्ट नो अब अनलाइन लर्निङ, यो त जागिर पनि चाहिँ मै बस्नु पनि गाह्रो हुने भइसक्यो, सबै स्कुलले चाहिँ अनलाइन लर्निङमा लियो भनेर। सो अब चाहिँ अलिकति म्यान्डेटरी जस्तो भयो। सो यही च्यालेन्जलाई चाहिँ हामीले अपर्च्युनिटीमा चाहिँ कन्भर्ट गरेर चाहिँ ल यही हो बेला भनेर चाहिँ अब हामीले पनि हेल्प गर्नु पर्यो। हामीले भनेको जसलाई थाहा छ त्यो अनलाइन लर्निङको बारेमा हेल्प गर्नु पर्यो, अनि उहाँहरूले पनि अलिकति यो चाहिँ अलिक इन्ट्रेस्ट दिएर यो त मलाई अब त आवश्यकै पर्यो, अब त मैले त सिक्नै पर्छ भन्ने खालको एटिट्युडले चाहिँ उहाँहरूले पनि गर्नुभयो भने सुरुमा त हामीले हेल्प गर्नै पर्छ। अनि त्यो भएर चाहिँ हामीले बिस्तारै उहाँहरूलाई ट्रेन गर्नुपर्छ होला। त्यो चाहिँ हाम्रो पर्सनल लेभलबाट भयो। अनि अर्को चाहिँ अब यो प्राइभेट स्कुल्स, गभर्मेन्ट स्कुल्सहरूले पनि अब डिफ्रेन्ट ट्रेनिङ प्रोग्रामहरू चाहिँ राख्नुपर्छ। अब किन भन्दाखेरि हाम्रोमा इन्टरनेटको खासै म प्रब्लम देख्दिनँ, अहिले त सबैको हातमा स्मार्टफोन छ। तर अब उहाँहरूले पनि यस्तो प्याकेजहरू चाहिँ ल्याएर चाहिँ अब पहिलाको चाहिँ सर म्याडमहरूलाई अब त्यो आउँदैन, त्यो ठिकै हो। किनकि अब मैले अघि पनि भने मेरो स्टुडेन्ट मभन्दा धेरै स्मार्ट छ। अब त्यो किनभने उनीहरूको त्यो ग्रुमिङ र मेरो ग्रुमिङ अर्कै छ भनेको। अब पहिलाको सर म्याडमहरूले त्यो यस्तो खालको टेक्नोलोजी पाउनु भएको थिएन, त्यही भएर हामीले उहाँहरूलाई आउँछ भनेर एक्सपेक्ट गर्नु पनि हुँदैन। तर हामीले उहाँहरूलाई ट्रेन गर्नु पर्यो, एउटा इन्भाइरोमेन्ट क्रिएट गर्नु पर्यो। त्यो भयो भने बिस्तारै चाहिँ अब एड्याप्ट गर्नुपर्छ जस्तो लाग्छ।
हजुर, थ्याङ्क यू। सो मेरो एउटा क्वेसन थियो होइन, अब जस्तो बाहिर यो अनलाइन टिचिङ लर्निङहरूको अब राम्रो प्लेटफर्म यता छ, त्यस्तो दिएको छ, यो लर्निङ म्यानेजमेन्ट सिस्टमहरू छ होइन, मुडल क्यानभसहरू जस्तो। तर नेपालमा चाहिँ त्यस्तो छैन। अब अनलाइन टिचिङ भनेको यो जुम र गुगल मिट जस्तो मात्रै भयो होइन। सो के स्टेप्सहरू लिन मिल्छ होला नेपाल एज अ कन्ट्री विथ हाम्रो अब लिमिटेड इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर हुन्छ, त्यस्तो इन्टरनेट पनि सबैतिर राम्रो छैन होला। तर कसरी चाहिँ यो लर्निङ उसलाई चाहिँ हामीले इम्प्रुभ गर्न सक्छौँ होला नेपालको कन्टेक्स्टमा चाहिँ?
अब अहिले यसो हेर्दाखेरि मैले अघि पनि भनेको थिएँ, हामी ब्लेन्डेड लर्निङ अप्रोचमै जानुपर्छ। किन भन्दाखेरि अब फिजिकली सधैँ भेट्ने खालको इन्भाइरोमेन्ट अब नहुन सक्छ। एटलिस्ट 4-5 इयर्स त यसले हिट गर्छ होला यो, किन मान्छेलाई डर पनि हुन्छ होइन। त्यो हिसाबले अब हामीले लर्निङ म्यानेजमेन्ट सिस्टमहरू छन् डिफ्रेन्ट। अब यो हामीले युज गर्ने मोडल यो त ओपन फ्री नै हो। अब अरू कमर्सियलहरू पनि छ र यो सिस्टम चलाउन त्यति गाह्रो पनि छैन, तर इन्ट्रेस्ट चाहिँ हुनु पर्यो भन्छु कि म। इन्ट्रेस्ट जस्तो अहिले भर्खर हाम्रो नेपाल ओपन युनिभर्सिटी त बल्ल खुल्यो, जब धेरै अगाडि खोल्नु पर्थ्यो। खुलेर जस खुल्नु यत्रो राम्रो भयो, पहिला नहुनु भन्दा अहिले भयो यत्रो राम्रो भयो। अब उहाँहरूले पनि मोडल चलाएर बिस्तारै एउटा चाहिँ इन्भाइरोमेन्ट चाहिँ क्रिएट भइरहेछ। अब उहाँहरूले इनिसिएटिभ लिने कि अब गभर्मेन्टले लिने कि अथवा कोही एप्रुभड अर्गनाइजेसनले लिएर चाहिँ अब चाहिँ डिफ्रेन्ट एरियामा चाहिँ रिच गर्नु पर्यो। मेबी प्रोभिन्स वाइज गएर चाहिँ पहिला चाहिँ अब एटलिस्ट त्यहाँको त्यो पार्टिसिपेन्टहरूलाई सेलेक्ट गरेर लर्निङ म्यानेजमेन्ट सिस्टमको ट्रेनिङ दिनु पर्यो। गाह्रो पनि छैन। त्यसपछि उहाँहरूले चाहिँ अनि आफ्नो स्कुलमा गएर अनि ट्रेनिङ दिनुहुन्छ। अनि गभर्मेन्टले यसको लागि फन्डिङ गर्नु पर्यो, त्यसको लागि इन्भाइरोमेन्ट क्रिएट गर्नको लागि। अब अहिले कम्प्युटरहरू त कति ठाउँमा बाँडिरहेछ भनेर मैले सुन्छु। अब कम्प्युटर मात्रै बाँडेर भएन, भित्र त्यो सिस्टमै छैन भने त काम भएन। अर्को एउटा काम चाहिँ भएको चाहिँ जस्तै ऊ पनि छ, यो एलटिएसपी प्रोजेक्ट भन्छ। हाम्रो स्टुडेन्टले पनि धेरै इन्भल्भ, यो चाहिँ हेल्प नेपाल र ओएलईले मिलेर चाहिँ एनसेलले पनि धेरै स्पोन्सर गरिरहेछ के अरे। यो एलटिएसपी प्रोजेक्ट भन्छ, हाम्रो स्टुडेन्ट धेरै इन्भल्भ पनि छ। त्यो पनि एउटा पहिला इलाइब्रेरीको आर्थिक कन्सेप्ट र धेरै काम भएको पनि छ। यो चाहिँ अब एनसेल चाहिँ अब प्राइभेट अर्गनाइजेसनले गर्यो भने, हेल्प नेपाल पनि अब सायद एनजिओ नै जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई गर्यो भने, अब यो इनिसिएसन चाहिँ गभर्मेन्टले लिएर चाहिँ उनीहरूले गर्ने भनेको सेलेक्टेड ठाउँमा गर्छ। तर अब यो इनिसिएसन चाहिँ गभर्मेन्टले नै लिएर चाहिँ अब यो चाहिँ हाम्रो लागि चाहिँ अब एकदम म्यान्डेटरी भइसक्यो भनेर त्यो किसिमको ट्रेनिङहरू अनि इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चरहरू डेभलप गर्नुपर्छ जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई। त्यो भयो भने यो सिस्टम चलाउन सिक्नु त्यति गाह्रो छैन।
थ्याङ्क यू सर। अरू कसैको क्वेसन छ भने एउटा दुईटा अर्को लिइहालौँ। सर, हजुरको प्रेजेन्टेसन पनि अफ गर्नुभयो भने अहिले ग्रुप फोटो लिँदाखेरि सबैको गर्न सजिलो हुन्थ्यो।
हुन्छ एकछिन ल, स्टप।
अरू कसैको क्वेसन छ यताबाट या फेसबुक लाइभबाट भने?
मनोज सरलाई के एड गर्नु छ सर? सर तपाईँ त्यहाँ हुनुहुन्छ भने इफ यु वान्ट टु एड समथिङ, किन उहाँमा पनि एकदम राम्रो एक्सपिरियन्स छ। उहाँले पनि यसमा एजुकेसनमा धेरै
हजुर 6 मिनट अगाडि जस्तै आई गट टु गो भनेर चाहिँ
ओके ठिक छ सर। ओके एनी मोर? सो
छैन भने चाहिँ कोलाई कम्फर्टेबल लाग्छ क्यामेरा अन गर्दै गरौँ होइन। अनि वाइल क्यामेरा अन हुँदाखेरि चाहिँ म एउटा दुईटा इन्फर्मेसन चाहिँ दिन्छु होइन। हाम्रो यो जिडिजीको वेबसाइट छ, त्यहाँ गएर आफूलाई सक्नुभयो भने रेजिस्टर गर्नु होला। म एक्चुअली देखाइदिन्छु पनि कुन हो भनेर, कस्तो देखिन्छ भनेर। यो वेबसाइट है, यहाँ गएर आफूलाई रेजिस्टर गर्नुभयो भने चाहिँ हाम्रो इभेन्ट्सहरूको बारेमा अनि को छ यो जिडिजीमा भनेर पनि थाहा हुन्छ। प्लस तपाईँलाई केही वेमा हामीसँग इन्भल्भ हुनु छ भने त्यो पनि सबै यसमै लिस्टेड छ। अनि हामीसँग गेट इन टच पनि यसबाटै गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ। अनि अरू चाहिँ हाम्रो सोसियल मिडिया प्लेटफर्महरू चाहिँ लाइकहरू गरिदिनु होला। त्यो भयो भने पनि इन्फर्मेसन थाहा हुन्छ। क्यामेरा सबैको कम्फर्टेबल हुन्छ भने अन गरिदिनु। अनि यो सेसन पछाडि चाहिँ हामी आजको फिडब्याक फर्म चाहिँ इमेल मार्फत पठाउँछौँ हजुरहरूलाई। अनि प्लिज त्यो फिडब्याक फर्म भरिदिनु होला सो द्याट हामीले पनि